Fear of failure. So failure equals experience. The more you fail, the more you learn. You don't learn from success because you did that right, so there's not much to learn there. But now when you fail, you get to sit back and analyze. I analyze every call I do, whether it's good or it's bad. Even if I walked away with a contract, I'm analyzing when they said this, was there a better way I could have responded to that? When they said that, could I have gone in a different direction? Could I have led them better? Could I have controlled the conversation more? Could I have, I don't know, build more rapport with the seller? Because it's not enough to simply get an appointment, because if you didn't build enough rapport, you're going to get that appointment, show up to the appointment, and they stood you up. You can even get a contract, and then they start ghosting you by the time you try to close on that contract, and you find yourself door knocking their house seeing what the hell happened, even though you have a contract. You understand? That means that you didn't do the right job of building enough rapport with these people. And all these failures are experience that you're going to have. Experience is something that doesn't matter what course, training, guru you buy, you cannot get without actually doing the work. Experience you cannot pay for. It comes from just actually doing. And another failure equals knowledge, right? The more you fail, the more you're going to learn about what's going on in the market. What if all these sellers telling you that's maybe a constant thread that you're starting to see? Is the market shifting, right? I get to gauge the whole market based purely on what my sellers are saying. You know, if I'm getting the same kind of objections, and this is something that happened early, and we're going to go over market shifts later, but this is something that, like, they kept telling me, yeah, I want to sell, but where do I go? If I sell, where do I go? Because interest rates are through the roof. Housing is through the roof. Rents are through the roof. Their credit's on the floor. And it's like, where do I go? Well, shit, that's a good point. I'm not here to steal your house, so I don't want to kick you out. You understand? But you have a good point. I don't know where the hell you're going to go. You can't afford another house, right? So what that does is it helps me understand. It's like, I need to shift my marketing, because these people, they may want to sell, but there's no motivation there. You understand? Because they have nowhere else to go. So now I stopped spending a ton of money, which we did. We cut about like $6,000 of marketing costs to lists that just made no sense to do. And all of that came from just making these calls and understanding why we weren't getting contracts. And failure equals money, right? So once you have experience, you have knowledge, you're going to be able to make money. Every single call, you need to be able to just get up out of bed and start making calls without thinking twice about it. When you get to that point, you're going to see all of a sudden you're closing a lot more deals than you ever were. Embrace the failure, and you only truly fail when you give up. That's the way I look at this whole thing. If you don't give up, you haven't failed yet. You understand? Like, you just haven't failed. You're learning. That's for damn sure. You know, you learning, but you haven't failed. So don't look at it as like, you know, oh, I failed wholesaling, I failed this. The only way you failed is if you just gave up. If you give up, then yeah, you failed. But until you give up, you're learning. That's all it is. Now, this is the question, right? What if you don't? So I want you to really sit down and analyze your fears, right? You say, well, what if they say this? What if they say that? What if I sound stupid? What blah, 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 blah. My question to you is like, what if you don't do this? What's your life going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, if you don't do this? You won't be able to quit that job you wanted to quit. You won't be able to have that financial freedom you wanted to have. You understand? Where if you look a year out and you've been doing this for a year, trust me, you're going to have a lot more success than you think. You understand? They say people underestimate what they can do in 10 years and overestimate what they can do in a year. You understand? It's like you'll be able with this kind of skill set to build such a strong foundation and a strong business that's going to serve you for years to come. But you got to do it. So my question is always like, not what are all these sellers going to say? What's going to happen? What's going to go wrong? My fear has always been, what if I don't do this? You understand? What if I quit? What other options do I have? Mind you, I told you I grew up as an illegal immigrant. That means that I didn't finish high school. I didn't have any degrees. I don't have any degrees. I don't have anything to fall back on. I couldn't get a job even if I begged people for one. I'm very unhireable. So this had to happen. You understand? I needed to succeed. This wasn't even an option. And I believe if you look at it that way, then the success you're going to have is going to be, you know, sky's the limit at that point. So ask yourself, what if I don't do this? then what's your life going to look like? And is that something that you're willing to live with? So here's a little power tip. You're not the only one doing this thing. There's a lot of people out there doing cold calling, getting started with cold calling. Don't do it on your own. Try to find a cold calling buddy, right? So it's kind of the same premise as like when you need to go to the gym and you don't have the motivation, is you find a gym buddy, right? It's the same thing. Find somebody else that's doing cold calling that maybe they don't like. It's like, hey man, let's get together 2, 3, 4 times a week and let's just encourage each other to make calls. And what that does is it makes it more fun because you kind of hear each other's phone calls and it's like, yeah, I really screwed that one up, but you get to learn, you get to feed off each other's energies, you get to compare notes, and at least it gets you making calls. So find a friend, find somebody that's out there. Trust me, there's a lot of you guys. I mean, many of you here on the phone, on this call today, you can partner with each other and work with each other so you can kind of feed off each other as you do this.